Hi everyone, Paul here with an ear for men. Today's video is a bit of a special one. It's longer than the others and a bit more effort to make, but I'm hoping that you will think it's worth your time to watch it and to share it with others. The script for this project was co-written by myself and Peter Wright of gynocentrism.com. In it, we dig a good bit deeper into an understanding of gynocentrism, exploring the hows and whys of men, young and old, who chase the dragon. Many students of sexual politics posit the supposedly scientific notion that our culture of gynocentrism is a basic biological reality, that we should either get with the program and enjoy it, or bow out in a nihilistic fashion. An alternative explanation of gynocentrism suggests it is merely an exaggeration of human potential, one that leads to social and reproductive failure despite common beliefs. The bioscience lexicon can be helpful in understanding this. A superstimulus refers to the exaggeration of normal stimulus to which there's an existing biological tendency to respond. An exaggerated response, or, if you will, super-response, can be elicited by any number of superstimuli. For example, when it comes to female birds, they will prefer to incubate larger, artificial eggs over their own natural ones. Large, colorful eggs are a superstimulus. Leaving real eggs out to die is the super-response. Similarly, humans are easily exploited by junk food merchandisers. Humans are easily trained to choose products that cause heart disease, diabetes, and cancer over the nutritious food that they evolved to eat and thrive on, simply by playing tricks on the taste buds and manipulating the starvation reflex. Sugar and refined carbohydrates are superstimuli. Consuming toxic substances is the super-response. The idea is that healthy human behavior evolved in response to normal stimuli in our ancestors' natural environment. That includes our reproductive instincts. The same behavioral responses have now been hijacked by the supernormal stimulus. From this perspective, we see that a superstimulus acts like a potent drug, one every bit comparable to heroin or cocaine, which imitate chemicals like dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins, all of which occur in the body naturally. As with drug addictions, the effects of superstimuli account for a range of obsessions and failures plaguing modern man. From the epidemic of obesity and obsessions with territoriality to the destructive, violent, and sometimes suicidal behaviors central to our modern cult of romantic love. An interesting tidbit about superstimuli of manufactured narcotics is the phenomenon known as chasing the dragon. It's a term that originated in the opium dens of China, and it refers to what happens the first time a person inhales opium vapor. The resulting euphoria is complete, even magical, the first time. Subsequent to that, the user tries again and again with ever-increasing amounts of the drug to recreate that first blissful high. They can't do it. The brain is now familiar with the flood of manufactured opiates. The user gets high and very addicted, but the magic of the first experience is an elusive butterfly. They pursue it, though, with all their might, chasing the dragon they rode in their first experience. We see a similar phenomenon with men trying desperately in their relationships with women to be rewarded with redeeming love, sex, and approval through the use of romantic chivalry. It sends them, like an addict, traveling the path of a Mobius strip, going in circles, chasing the dragon. There is little doubt in our minds how this happens. Here are 3 examples of human superstimuli and how they are used to elicit a destructive super-response in the human male. First, artificially manufactured neoteny. Neoteny is the presence of juvenile characteristics in body, voice, or facial features. In humans, neoteny activates what is known as the parental brain, or the state of brain activity that promotes nurturance and caretaking. The activation occurs through something called an innate releasing mechanism. A classic example of an innate releasing mechanism is when seagull chicks peck at the parent's beak to get food. Each adult seagull has a red spot on the underside of their beak, the side of which instinctively triggers or releases the chicks to peck it. It is the innate releasing mechanism. This innate releasing mechanism, of course, is essential to the survival of seagulls, and there is something like it to be found in all birds and mammals, or any creature that cares for its offspring. In mammals, neoteny is one of the innate releasing mechanisms that unconsciously determines our motivations to protect and provide, thus ensuring the survival of the species. Juvenile characteristics in humans, however, can also be manipulated to garner attention and support that far exceed that which is demanded for survival. In particular, neoteny is exploited by women to gain various advantages, a fact not lost on medical doctor and author Esther Villar, who writes, and I quote, "Woman's greatest ideal is a life without work or responsibility. Yet who leads such a life but a child? A child with appealing eyes, a funny little body with dimples and sweet layers of baby fat, and clear, taut skin. That darling miniature of an adult. It is a child that woman imitates. Its easy laugh, its helplessness, its need for protection. A child must be cared for, cannot look after itself. And what species does not, by natural instinct, look after its offspring? It must, or the species will die out. With the aid of skillfully applied cosmetics designed to preserve that precious baby look, with the aid of helpless exclamations such as ooh and ah, to denote astonishment, surprise, and admiration, with inane little bursts of conversation, women have preserved this baby look for as long as possible so as to make the world continue to believe in the darling, sweet little girl she once was. And she relies on the protective instinct in man to make him take care of her." Unquote. Zoologist Conrad Lorenz discovered that images releasing parental reactions across a wide range of mammalian species were rounded heads and large eyes, compared with the angular heads with proportionally smaller eyes that do not elicit such responses. Compare Lorenz's images here with the images of skillfully applied eye makeup by the modern woman in search of romance. The many-colored eyeshadows, eyeliners, and mascaras, not to mention the hours practiced in front of the mirror, opening those eyes as wide as possible and fluttering, all designed to spur the viewer's paleo reflexes into action. Neotenic female faces, large eyes, greater distance between the eyes, and small noses are found to be more attractive to men, while less neotenic female faces are considered the least attractive, regardless of the female's actual age. And of these features, large eyes are the most effective of the neonate cues, a success formula utilized from anime to Disney characters in which the eyes of adult women have been supersized and faces rendered childish. Item 2. exaggeration of sexual qualities. Clothing and postures which exaggerate the hips, thighs, ass, and breasts have been cultivated for millennia. The cut, color, and drape of clothing, the underwear, corsets, lingerie, and the shoes, hats, jewelry, and other accessories make for a long study in the evolution of fashion. And in terms of sexuality, they stand for nothing less than superstimuli designed to elicit an overload of sexual attraction in the viewer. Perhaps more interesting on the enhancement front is the arrival of plastic surgery designed to transform the body into a theater of superstimuli, sometimes with grotesque, even fatal results, such as the risk invited and embraced in the pursuit of enhanced sexual appeal. Breast implants, butt implants, Botox injections, nose jobs, tummy tucks, facelifts, all designed for enhanced sexuality and, even more importantly, enhanced power and control. Finally, item 3, artificially intensified pair bonding drive. We have all heard the advice of the seasoned matron to the younger woman. Don't turn your love on like a tap, or he will lose interest. Withhold some affection, and you'll always have him begging for more. This message is now so widespread that animal training techniques are being redeployed by women who wish to control their man's attachment needs. In How to Make Your Man Behave in 21 Days or Less Using the Secrets of Professional Dog Trainers, we read, and I quote, "Consistently, a dog is nicest when he wants to be fed. Then he becomes all wags and licks. A known trick for keeping a dog on his best behavior is just to fill his bowl halfway so he's yearning for more. Same goes for his appetite for affection. Keep him in constant emotional hunger for you, and he'll be more attentive and easier to control." Unquote. As cruel as it sounds, withholding affection, sex, approval, and love have become part of women's repertoire of superstimuli used to coerce men into service. Perhaps there was a time that service could have been considered an appropriate response to a survival-oriented stimulus. Now, however, it has been replaced by superstimuli, and male service has degenerated into a destructive super-response. Such dating advice for women abounds on the internet with the aim to intensify a man's desire by turning a secure bond, a necessity for healthy relationships, into a brass ring. Only on the ride of romantic chivalry, like all carnival sideshows, the game is rigged. The brass ring remains ever just out of reach. Men's basic human need for love, acceptance, and security is frustrated, leaving them in a perpetual cycle of deprivation. Indeed, it is one of the core principles of romantic love to keep the bond in the realm of tantalizing denial, and men, therefore, in constant readiness to be manipulated and used. The word tantalizing comes from the Greek story of Tantalus. Tantalus, as the fable goes, offended the gods. His punishment was to be placed in a river with the water up to his neck. A tree full of ripe red apples leaned toward him. The gods afflicted him with a raging thirst and hunger. When he bent his head down to slake his thirst, the waters receded. Likewise, when he reached up to grab one of the apples, the branch recoiled higher and out of reach. Women are socialized now to tantalize men with the possibility of pair bonding, to keep the fruit of love ever out of reach, and to further muddy the waters with the dictates of romantic chivalry. If you want that pair bond, which is to say, if you want to be more tantalized, you'd better greet her with flowers, hold the door open, and of course, pick up the bill. Be prepared to live that way the rest of your life, exiled to the river with Tantalus, ever thirsty and hungry. In modern times, simple attachment is transformed into something complex, an impulse now guided by customs of a romantic chivalry designed to tilt maximum power toward the woman. Even when the pair bond is supposedly attained, you may still experience the withdrawal of love, sex, and approval as a method of control. It can even be worse once bonded than during the courtship process. Such behavior for women is not a simple innate reflex, but one in which they are culturally educated and socialized. Most girls become fluent in the game of inclusion and exclusion in groups or among friends well before they reach the age of 10, and the meta rules learned there reappear again in popular dating advice, rules designed to meddle in the attachment security we social creatures would otherwise enjoy, sans the manipulations. The rules for women resonate shamelessly throughout an entire genre of literature. Keep an air of mystery. Only put in 30% effort. Make him come to you. Never see him with less than 7 days' notice. Never call him unless returning a call. Never return a call or text immediately. Make him approach you. Don't call back immediately. You're a girl in demand. End the call first after 15 minutes, always. Even though it sucks, he'll call you more. Even if you're not busy, pretend like you are. Those items are the product of a cursory scan of just 2 internet dating sites with advice for women. They are not, however, an invention of the information age. They are the long codified expressions of what women have been taught from generation to generation since the advent of romantic chivalry. They are obedience training instincts for conditioning the romantically chivalrous man, super stimuli, powerfully effective in eliciting a super response. In this case, servile, blind sycophancy from weak, non-introspective men.